Yo, this jersey's tough. They now. Ooh, this might be the cleanest jersey I got. Link down below in the description if you want to buy. This video is sponsored by Fanatics. According to Nonstop, the Mavericks were favorites, or they should have been favorites. Crazy work. Even though the Mavericks are old. But we got the most wait what facts in NBA history. Let's get into it.
Let's kick things off with one that took years for people to even realize. Randy Foye, who was drafted 7th overall in 2006, has a rare condition called situs inversus, meaning his internal organs are reversed, completely flipped.
And situs inversus is?
All your organs are switched, reversed.
So your heart's on the right side of your chest?
Yes. So my heart's over here on my right side, and my liver's over here. So that's how you can tell, because those two organs are reversed.
And that's very rare.
Yeah.
And the crazy part, it never affected his performance at all. He still played 11 seasons in the NBA.
And that doesn't affect you playing basketball at all?
No.
He only discovered it as a kid after a severe case of pneumonia. Otherwise, he might not have ever known he had it.
The condition is rare. It occurs in only 0.01% of the population, and thankfully, many people with this condition don't even know they have it. They can lead perfectly normal lives, and no treatment is necessary.
So, like, everything is just flipped in you. Yeah, there's no, like, what would you get negative out of that, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as it's still in you, you good. I feel like that.
Being a professional athlete already puts you in elite company, but having that condition on top of it, that's truly one of one.
So he got a left-handed heart, a right-handed heart. So if he says, the Pledge of Allegiance when he get in trouble, here you go. We have to say it like this. Only you. Here you go, man. Only you. He didn't think of that. Why would he think of that? Why would you think of something like that? It was just a note that, I thought I'd throw in there.
Speaking of things going very wrong, Marquis Daniels once got a tattoo that he thought represented his initials in Chinese. Turns out it actually translates to healthy woman roof. Yeah, not quite what he was going for. Let that be a lesson to always double check translations before making something permanent. Now here's a stat that'll make you do a double take. Kobe Bryant didn't receive a single MVP vote in the 04-05 season, which is somewhat understandable since his team struggled. But here's the twist. A non-all-star on a lottery team actually received more votes than him. At age 35, PJ Brown got a 5th place MVP vote. Just one, but still more than Kobe. And this was on a New Orleans team that won only 18 games, with Brown averaging just 11 and 9. It's one of those votes that still makes people scratch their heads. And while we're on the top,
wasn't Kobe like kind of blackballed by the league though?
Of confusing votes, someone actually voted for Shaquille O'Neal for most improved player in the 07-08 season. Yes, that's Shaq, a former MVP already in his mid-30s. The award is usually for young breakout players, but after Shaq was traded from Miami to Phoenix mid-season, someone apparently felt his impact was improvement worthy. When Tayshaun Prince first joined the Detroit Pistons in 2002, he barely played, appearing in only 42 of 82 games his rookie season, averaging just 15 minutes per game and about 3 points per game. But in the 2003 playoffs, everything changed. Detroit fell behind 3-1 to Orlando in the first round, so coach Rick Carlisle decided to shake things up and give Prince more minutes. It paid off. The Pistons stormed back to win the series, with Prince dropping 20 in Game 7. He became such a key piece that he actually scored more points in that postseason than he did during that entire regular season, making him the only player in NBA history to do that.
Wow, that's like some clutch. Is that like some of the most clutchest player in NBA history type stats right here?
And from that,
completely turned it around. Yeah, Kobe got blackballed allegations. Yeah, I'm about to say, because how do you not get a single? Wasn't that the didn't Kobe get that 8-game 50-point stretch in 04-05, or was it 05-06?
Same season comes one of the strangest shooting stats you'll ever hear. In the 02-03 season, Bruce Bowen led the NBA in 3-point percentage at 44.1. Sounds elite, right? Well, he also shot around 40% from the free throw line, which is awful. He was literally more efficient from 3-point range than from the charity stripe. That almost never happens. Somebody who was excellent at the free throw line was Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. In the final game of the 1994 regular season between the Rockets and Nuggets, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf had a chance to break Calvin Murphy's single-season free throw percentage record. Murphy was actually in attendance for the game. When Abdul-Rauf finally got to the line in the third quarter, he needed to make both free throws to break the record. And right before the attempt, one of the refs handed the ball to Murphy so he can jokingly put a hex on it. Abdul-Rauf knocked on the first, but missed the second. And just like that, the record stayed intact.
Mahmoud Abdul-Razak was taking aim at Calvin Murphy's NBA record for free throw percentage in a season, but with Murphy putting a hex on him, Mahmoud comes up short.
If you say so, that's the reason. Oh, also, if you in this live, I want y'all to know, all the live streams I'm gonna do from now on is gonna be no ads in it. I'm gonna have no ads in the monetizations, just so that when you get in here, you guys can get your own little bonus for coming into the live, because you guys know these lives are membership only after I drop it.
Next, we have a coincidence that honestly feels a little eerie when you really line it up. It's kind of wild just how similar the careers of Dwight Howard and Shaquille O'Neal ended up being. You might have heard a couple of these connections before, but hearing all of them stacked together is actually insane. Both were taken #1 overall by the Orlando Magic. Both became dominant all-star centers who carried the Superman nickname, and both were famously terrible at the free throw line. But it gets even crazier. Each of them knocked off a legitimate GOAT candidate in the playoffs. Shaq took down Michael Jordan, while Dwight took out LeBron James. And in both instances, they went on to lose in the NBA Finals that same year. And if that wasn't enough symmetry, they both eventually left Orlando to team up with Kobe Bryant in Los Angeles. Now, if you're a Magic fan, on one hand, your franchise can say it eliminated both Jordan and LeBron in the playoffs. On the other, you were also part of one of the most painfully ugly scoring stretches in NBA history. On April 11th, 2015, the Orlando Magic and the New York Knicks combined to make history in the worst way possible. In the second quarter of that game, the two teams scored just 15 total points, not each, combined. New York outscored Orlando 8-7 in that period. That's it, 15 points total.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, you could have put me on the court. I would have dropped at least 5. That's pitiful. How are you scoring 50? Was it just that much of good defense or something? Or they just can't put the ball in the hoop?
To put that in perspective, Vince Carter once scored more than that in a single quarter just from the free throw line alone, knocking down 16 free throws in the fourth quarter against Miami back in 2005. Now, technically, that's the lowest scoring quarter in the shot clock era, but if we're talking all time, we should probably look at the lowest scoring game of all time. On November 22nd, 1950, the Fort Wayne Pistons beat the Minneapolis Lakers 19-18. That was the final score when that game was all said and done. And no, it wasn't because everyone was terrible at basketball. This was actually intentional, at least on the Pistons side. Back then, there was no shot clock, no limit on how.
Don't tell me they just held the ball the whole game, bro. Get the bucket, hold the ball as long as possible. No way.
Long you could hold the ball. And since the Pistons kept losing to the Lakers around that time, they decided to exploit it. They held onto the ball for minutes at a time, just passing endlessly until the Lakers got impatient and pressured them.
That's cool and all, but I need my refund.
Worked. Barely. Fort Wayne escaped with a 1-point win. There were only 8 field goals made in the entire game, and just one player scored in double figures. That game was so ridiculous that it directly led to the creation of the 24-second shot clock. The two teams combined for 37 points that night. Klay Thompson matched that by himself in a single quarter in 2015. Now sure, we could talk about the highest scoring game ever, but you've probably heard that one before. Instead, let's talk about someone who played in it, Alex English. English almost never gets brought up in all-time great conversations, but you could argue that he's one of the most underrated scorers ever, and that's not an exaggeration. During the entire 1980s, Alex English scored more total points than any other player, over 21,000 in that decade alone. And he isn't just barely ahead either. He has a pretty comfortable lead over second place Moses Malone.
Wow! Moses Malone averaged 30 for a season, though. And he's still over him?
Definitely helped that he only missed a total of 7 games across those 10 years.
It's very impressive that Alex was the lead.
So his averages is probably not as high, though, as Moses Malone's is. I don't think so, right? No way.
The comfortable lead over second place Moses Malone. It definitely helped that he only missed a total of 7 games across those 10 years.
It's very impressive that Alex was the leading scorer of the 80s, because you have so many great players. You had Kareem, you had Bird, you had Bernard King.
Facts.
And for Alex English to lead all those guys is a big accomplishment.
My guess probably would have been Larry Bird. Then again, Bird cared more about winning than padding stats. And this next story proves it perfectly. On February 18th, 1985, the Boston Celtics were in Salt Lake City facing the Jazz. By the end of the first quarter, Bird had already outscored the entire Jazz team by himself. Fast forward to the end of the third quarter, Boston was up 22, and Bird had put up 30 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 steals. Celtics coach Casey Jones told him that he was only 1 steal away from a quadruple-double, but Bird didn't even bother going back in. The game was already decided, and chasing stats just didn't matter to him.
There was a night in Utah, they were killing the Jazz, and he had 9 steals and the triple-double in the other 3 categories easily.
This man Bird really decided not to go back in the game. I've heard this story about that, but how many times has the quadruple double been done? I know David Robinson did it, but would have Bird been like it hasn't only been done like 4 times, right? And I know Moses Malone is like that. I think did he average 30 and 15? I don't want to butcher it. He averaged at least 15 rebounds, right? Or 13? I know he was averaging good, though.
At the end of 3 quarters, and I got the box, and we were sitting right near him. One more steal, he's got a quadruple-double, I ran down with the score sheet, and, tapped him on the shoulder. I said, get back in there, look at this thing. All you got to do is... He says, get out of here, Scoop. I don't care about that.
Getting a quadruple double meant nothing to me.
Amir Johnson passed up the opportunity to play in college, a decision that would quietly put him in a very unique spot in NBA history. In 2005, he skipped college entirely and went straight from high school to the NBA. And if you didn't know, that made him the last player ever drafted straight out of high school. His name sits at the end of a list that includes guys like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, and Dwight Howard. After Johnson, the NBA changed the rules to where players now had to be at least 19 and 1 year removed from high school.
Why did the NBA change the rule though? Like, why you gotta go to the... Was it because players are coming to the league undeveloped or something?
Which started in 2006. Johnson himself has even said he's aware of how unique that distinction is.
Here is history. You were talking to me off camera a little bit. This could be a Jeopardy question in the future. Amir Johnson, Amir Johnson is the last player in NBA history to be drafted straight from high school.
Great Jeopardy question. I just hope I'm on there one time. The last player I was drafted, 2nd round, number 56.
And get this, his very first career NBA basket came on a windmill dunk.
He's
Another cool tidbit that he'll be able to tell his grandkids one day.
Not only did he get points, he got a nice windmill dunk.
In that same draft, Andrew Bogut went #1 overall out of Melbourne, Australia. And here's a stat that sounds completely made up, but isn't. Since 1981, Melbourne has produced more #1 overall picks than any other city in the world. Bogut in 2005, Kyrie Irving in 2011, and Ben Simmons in 2016. Not exactly what you'd expect.
The #1 city on the planet for the most #1 draft picks in the NBA is...
Melbourne.
So we had Bogut, Kyrie, and...
Kyrie who?
Kyrie Irving.
He was from Melbourne?
He was born in Melbourne.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Kyrie was born in Melbourne?
Yeah.
Now let's talk about one of the strangest transactions you'll ever hear about. At the 2005 NBA trade deadline, the Boston Celtics traded Gary Payton to the Atlanta Hawks for Antoine Walker. The goal was to bring Walker back for scoring, but it left Boston without a veteran point guard. Here's where it gets weird. Payton refused to report to Atlanta, pushed for a buyout, got waived, and then re-signed with Boston just a week after being traded away. The Celtics basically ended up with both Walker and Payton.
Nah, investigate that. They should have investigated that one.
League wasn't thrilled. They saw it as salary cap manipulation and quickly stepped in, creating a rule that prevents players from immediately re-signing with the team that just traded them. Now,
this man Gary Payton and pulled a slick one on the NBA, man. Don't hate the player, hate the game, man.
Here's a fun fact that might mess with your head. Dwyane Wade is actually older than Tony Parker. It sounds wrong, doesn't it? Parker was already in the league when Wade got drafted, so it feels like he should be older. But when they faced off in back-to-back NBA finals, I had no idea that Wade was actually about 4 months older. Just one of those things that doesn't feel right until you look it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the end of this video. Cosgrove, you snapped. I enjoyed that video.